everybody. Happy Wednesday. Um, this is another rerun of my presentation today. So, if what I wanted to do today is talk about how artificial intelligence processes text and what problems can arise in terms of how that affects human language. So, initially, what you do when you go to ChatGPT is you type in, your question. And it will then, after some thinking time, it will spit out an answer. But we always think that ChatGPT can understand what we give it, or what we're telling it, but it can't. It can't really understand. What it does is it converts the words into numbers to understand them. But this makes it lose context and meaning behind what we're actually asking it. Now, how does that happen? The first thing that happens is that it removes common words that don't have a lot of statistical meaning, words like the or is, sometimes pronouns. And then it will lowercase the text and remove almost all punctuation. And it will then convert the words into embeddings. Embeddings are vectors of numbers. For example, right here we have text from a project of mine. So I took an excerpt from a court case, an Australian court case. Actually, my project was 50,000 Australian court cases. But in this instance, I just have the one. So it would take this text. Ordinarily, that discretion will be exercised so that costs follow the event and are awarded on a party-to-party basis, and so on. Then it goes to ordinarily discretion, exercise costs follow event awarded party-to-party basis. And then there's no punctuation to end that portion either. And then these words right here at the end just become very confusing because we don't know what those mean. And while we cannot understand, this in comparison to this, the computer converts it to that. But what's the problem here? The problem is that sometimes words like, not or never are removed, which lead to the loss of meaning. So, like, you have, I like this, and I do not like this. But then they end up being converted to the same thing. And then another example right here is that you have, right here, how the word bank has different meanings, but it can get the same vector, like blood bank, river bank, investment bank, and so on, all have different meanings, but they will get the same vector. And that definitely causes problems in terms of language processing. And another thing is that AI models work way better for languages with more online data, such as English, German, French, but it works less efficiently for languages that are low resources, like Maori, Quechua, and even Hindi. But Hindi is spoken by at least 500 million people, but it's still considered a low resource language due to how difficult it is to access learning and training materials for the AI. As of 2023, with out of 55 languages, 48% of AI training data is in English. And how does that even, and then 1%, 0.1% is African, Oceanic, and Native American languages. And AI models will continue to learn and teach based on the information it has. But these low resource languages can cause a language to die. You can't attempt to teach a language through AI, because AI will never understand what it's like to be, to know, or to grow up in the place speaking that language. It can teach me the words, but it can never teach me what it is. Like, we know what a table is because we've built tables, we've seen tables, we've used tables, but an AI will never know that. And because of that, AI can hallucinate, which means it can produce, realistic sounding but false or dangerous outputs. And this especially can be very risky in, medical situations where it can just make up stuff. And we don't know exactly what it wants or what it needs. when you're using, like, what if AI told you that you don't have cancer because of this, this, and this? But then it turns out that the patient does have cancer because of this, this, and this. But just looking at images is not going to help the AI. A final example before I end it off today is that, for example, say you put in your physics problem into ChatGPT. ChatGPT has a pretty high chance of not seeing the numbers in your physics problem. It'll see, oh, you want to calculate the velocity of this, but it won't see the numbers, it won't see the context, and you will fail. And that's why I believe that AI needs to have a better regulation and a more equal stance on training data. Thank you so much.